Hi, good day everyone. I'm Jeremie Ruego. I'm going to discuss the perception and personality in organization. But now, the first thing we will talk about is perception. Now, what is perception? Perception is a process by which individuals organize and interpret their sensory impression in order to give meaning to their environment. Just simply means that when we see an object, when we see something, how we understand is based on situation and based on sense, the way we see, we hear, and kind understanding, interest, value, attitude that we have. We all have own opinion, have own perception about the things that happening in our daily life. So that's basically perception is. And one thing, why perception is important? Because people's behavior is based on their perception of what reality is. Not on reality itself, the world as it is perceived is the world that behaviorally important. Factors influencing perception so that the main three factors first is perceiver. Several characteristics of the perceiver can affect perception. When an individual looks at a target and attempts to interpret what she or he, that interpretation is heavily influenced by personal characteristic of individual perceiver. The major characteristic of the perceiver influence perception are attitudes, moods, motives, self-concept, interests, cognitive structures, and expectations. Second is target. Characteristic in the target that is being observed and affect what is perceived. Physical appearance play a big role in our perception of others. Extremely attractive or unattractive individuals are more likely to be noticed in a group than ordinarily liking individuals. Motions, sounds, size, and other attributes of target shapes the way we see it. Targets are not looked on in isolation. The relationship of target to its background influence perception because of our tendency to group close things and similar things together. Objects that are close to each other will tend to be perceived together rather than separately. As a result of physical or time proximity, we often put together objects or events that are unrelated. For example, employees in a particular department are seen as a group. If two employees of a department suddenly resign, we tend to assume their departures were related when in fact they might be totally unrelated. People, objects, or events that are similar to each other also tend to be grouped together. The greater the similarity, the greater the probability we will tend to perceive them as a group. The last is situation. The situation in which the interaction between perceiver and the target takes place has influence on the perceiver's impression of the target. For example, a professor may not notice his 20 years old female student in a bikini at the swimming pool. Yet the professor will notice the same girl if she comes to his organization. Behavioral class in a bikini. In the same way, meeting a manager in his or her office affects your impression in a certain way that may contrast with the impression you would form had you met the manager in a restaurant. The strength of the situation cues also affects social perceptions. Some situations provide strong cues as to appropriate behavior. In this situation, we assume that the individual's behavior can be accounted for by the situation and that it may not reflect the individual's disposition. This is the discounting principle in social perception. For example, you may encounter an automobile salesperson who has a warm and personable manners, asks you about your work and hobbies, and seems genuinely interested in your taste in cars. Can you assume that this behavior reflects the salesperson's personality? You probably cannot, because of the influence of the situation. This person is trying to sell you a car. And in this particular situation, he probably treats all customers in this manner. Now, I'm going to explain the attribution theory. Attribution theory is intended to help a person understand the causes of human behavior, be it their own or someone else's. The basis of attribution theory is that people want to know the reasons for the actions that they and others take. They want to attribute causes to behaviors they see rather than assuming that these behaviors are random. This allows people to assume some feelings of control over their own behaviors and over situations. So that's perceptions all about. Now, I'm going to discuss the personality in organizational behavior. What is personality? It is the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with others. In the field of organizational behavior, personality is the aggregate of persons' feelings and thinking, behaviors, and responses to different situations and people. Our personality differentiates us from other people. An understanding of someone's personality gives us clues about how that person is likely to act and feel in a variety of situations. In order to effectively manage organization, an understanding of different employees' personalities is helpful. Now, what are the major determinants of personality? There are 4 determinants of personality. First is biological or physical determinants. It is heredity and physical features. The second is social determinants. It is sociological aspects related to the community and her role in the community. The third is psychological determinants. Behaviors, emotions, sentiments, thought patterns, and complexes of an individual. The last is intellectual determinants, values, humor, and morality. Personality plays a key role in organizational behavior because of the way that people think, feel, and behave affects many aspects of workplace. People personalities influence their behavior in groups, their attitude, and the way they make decisions. In the workplace, personality affects such things as motivation, leader, performance, and conflict. The more that management understand how personality and organizational behavior works, the better equipped they are to be effective and accomplish their goals. There are big 5 personality traits. Many contemporary personality psychologists believe that there are 5 basic dimensions of personality, often referred as the Big 5 personality traits. The 5 broad personality traits described by the theory are extroversion. First is openness. These traits features characteristics such as imaginations and insight. People who are high in this trait also tend to have a broad range of interests. The second is conscientiousness. Standard features of the dimensions include high levels of thoughtfulness, good impulse control, and goal-directed behaviors. Highly conscientious people tend to be organized and mindful of details. The third is extroversion. Extroversion is characterized by excitability, sociability, talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amounts of emotional expressiveness. People who are high in extroversion are outgoing and tend to gain energy in social situations. The fourth is agreeableness. This personality dimensions includes attributes such as trust, altruism, kindness, affections, and other prosocial behaviors. The last is neuroticism. Is a trait characterized by sadness, smoothness, and emotional stability. Individuals who are high in this trait tend to experience mood swings, anxiety, irritability, and sadness. That's what personality is. So that's all about my report, the perceptions and personality in organizational behavior. Again, I'm Jeremie Ruego from BSBA 2A.